Just quickly, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I post a new Tom Brady video every day.
At one point in time, people had such an affection for Tom Brady to such a degree, and to some degree they still do, that no matter what circumstances he found himself under, whether he was losing AFC championship games to Peyton Manning or being associated with Spygate or deflategate or whatever the case may be, you have people that look at it and say, folks are eager to give him a pass that they wouldn't give to other people. Those are components that can't be ignored either, Will.
Yeah, but okay, so I'm not saying that you hold this. You're attributing that point of view to many people. It's a really dumb point of view if they hold that. It's really, really dumb because what it ignores is it makes Tom Brady into a system quarterback that's been the beneficiary of Bill Belichick and his system, as though you could put anybody in that system and they would achieve the same level or at least some close to similar level of success. And it discounts all the things that Tom Brady does on a daily basis, not the miracle throw that Aaron Rodgers throws, but what he does on a daily basis that makes that system work. See, that's my point. People don't really like what it takes to be successful. They don't want to pass up the donut. They don't want to check their ego. They don't want to never be late to a meeting. They don't want to hold everybody accountable.
Every man in this room is counting on you. And every player that's ever worn this helmet is counting on you.
So when they see someone do all that, they've got to explain it away as though that's just a system that's allowing that guy to do that. Well, contrary to what Max Kellerman constantly says, you put Aaron Rodgers in that system,
they'd be better.
I don't think he makes I don't think he makes all the same choices. I don't think he does all the same sacrifices that Brady does.
Why are his individual numbers so much better than Rodgers?
Why is individual? Because the system is outstanding.
Well, why didn't Drew Bledsoe win in that system? Drew Bledsoe's a 4-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, but Drew Bledsoe also didn't stay in that system. Let's just say Drew Bledsoe stayed in that system. Who's to say that he wouldn't have won?
I'm gonna say it because he was 5-13 in Belichick. He was 5-13, and the next week Brady took over. No, Belichick's second year, and he was 5-11 the first year with Bledsoe. Second year he goes 0-2. Brady becomes the quarterback because Bledsoe got hurt. Week 3, they start a roll and they go 11-3 and win the Super Bowl. And the rest is history. So come on, man. He's a 3-time MVP. What game manager wins MVP awards?
I think it's a good point to develop it or articulate it further. I could, if you want to call him a system quarterback, some of that system is kind of an adherence to a really puritanical work ethic, and that's part of the system that he's incorporated, right? And I think that's a good point. Nevertheless, people recognize, just as who is he overtaking as the greatest quarterback of all time? For many in the modern era, it's Joe Montana. And I think people recognize that as great as Joe Montana was, he was also lucky, much as I talked about Blink a little earlier, like Gladwell would write that, Bill Gates was lucky because circumstances favored what ended up really creating him and his legacy. And that Joe Montana was lucky to have Walsh, and that Brady was lucky to have Belichick, and there were other quarterbacks you could have, and this is, of course, ridiculous because this is not what happened, but you could have given to Walsh or Belichick who would have been even better, but they weren't, and so they're not. But I think people recognize, what if Walsh had Dan Marino? What if Belichick had Aaron Rodgers? I think most people would probably say Rodgers and Marino would be ahead of Brady and Montana. And so there's a sense, I think, rightfully, that they're somewhat lucky.
Bill Belichick coached exactly 100 games before Tom Brady's first start. He was 42-58. Most of that was in Cleveland, where he took over a Browns team that had made the playoffs 5 out of 6 years. He coached them 5 seasons. He had losing records in 4. By the way, Nick Saban was his defensive coordinator 4 of those 5 seasons. And yes, the ending was a terrible situation. The team planning to relocate to Baltimore. Factor that in however you like. Then he went to New England. Belichick was 5-13 with Drew Bledsoe, number 1 overall draft pick, at quarterback. Then Brady took over. In his first start, he beat Peyton Manning and the Colts by 31 points as a double-digit underdog. He then went 13-3 the rest of the way and won the Super Bowl. Brady went on to average 28 points a game as a starter over his Patriots career. That is the most by any quarterback ever. In games started by anyone else, Belichick's teams have averaged 19 points. Brady also won 6 playoff games in which his team allowed 28 or more points. No other quarterback has ever won more than 2. And Brady made himself a salary cap bargain in none of his championship seasons was Brady a top 10 cap hit in the league.
Well, my issue with what you're saying, more so than anything else, is you're acting as if it's applicable just to Tom Brady. Like when you talk about fans and whoever feels that way having a dumb opinion. Well, even though there's a lot of very, very smart fans out there, there are a few that are not. And they hold these opinions because of their fandom and their haterism, for lack of a better word, their willingness to go that route. But what you're saying is applicable to Tom Brady is applicable to most professional athletes, which is why they're under the microscope that they're under.
No.
Because people out there who want to hate on them look for any excuse. You act like there's some special circumstance that Tom Brady has to deal with. If there's resentment, it's because it isn't.
Tom Brady is, in so many ways, the embodiment of the American dream, and yet millions of Americans still despise him. Dr. Mark Sester from the University of Central Arkansas says Brady might take some of the blame for that, but most of it lies with us.
I find myself rooting for the other team because it's the more interesting outcome.
Dr. Sester, an assistant professor of psychology, says our collective love of the underdog is a big reason people love to hate Tom Brady.
You look at our sports narratives, the popular movies that we like, the movies like Hoosiers and Rudy and Remember the Titans and that sort of stuff, and it's always about scrappy underdogs like overcoming the odds and beating the team that is really strongly favored.
Some of the animosity comes from cognitive dissonance. Dr. Sester explained that when your belief doesn't match up with an outcome, the brain tries to rationalize the difference. With Brady, fans point to deflated footballs and the Patriots spied on opponents.
They start feeling like they're getting where they're getting because they're cheating, because they aren't doing things fairly. And that's not necessarily a fair evaluation, but it's a really easy thing for people to hook onto to continue to root against that favored team and for the underdog.
Sports media might also turn fans off. Dr. Sester says reactance spurs the rebellious teen in all of us. In this case, telling us to reject the experts who have said for years, Brady's the greatest quarterback ever.
And the more often you're exposed to it, the more you're saturated by it, kind of the harder you veer against it, where you're like, I'm sick of this guy, he gets too much praise, he gets too much credit. And then you start to kind of think of reasons why, or you kind of generate reasons why on the fly. But really the whole start of it is I feel like I'm being pressured to adore this guy, and I want to go in the opposite direction of that.
Then there's his charmed life. Talented, wealthy, charismatic, fashionable, and married to supermodel Giselle.
We can add a lot of explanations, but in some ways the simplest explanation can be good old-fashioned envy. Tom Brady leads a life that a lot of people would dream of, especially people that really like football.
Dr. Sester adds, if you want to hate Tom Brady on Sunday, that's okay. Just remember that he's only playing a role on a stage that we created for him.
We've established that he's the most disliked quarterback in the NFL, has the highest negative approval rating. And what we're doing is trying to explain why that is. Now this is my final point.
Also the highest
Max,
positive, Will.
That's
both.
right, because
Yes,
people
both.
like this, Max, are divisive. And here's my problem with your argument, Max, in the end. You give credit to a guy like Aaron Rodgers for the things he was born with, the arm talent he has, even his own work ethic. But you take away from Tom Brady the unique attributes that he brings. I don't doubt that Aaron Rodgers has a work ethic, but Tom Brady has an above and out of this world work ethic.
He's the platonic ideal of a quarterback. I get it. In terms of that stuff.
Makes Tom Brady
and I'm here to tell you, I recognize those qualities in Tom Brady, including the locker room influence. And I'm here to tell you, including all that, Aaron Rodgers is better than him, and it's not hard to tell.
Set aside that debate can be had in the future, has been had in the past. But what I'm telling you is Tom Brady's special attributes that make him the greatest quarterback of all time. His special attributes that have allowed him to win 4 Super Bowls and appear in 7. His special attributes are the ones you never see. They're the decisions he makes at 5:30 a.m. They're decisions he makes about what he puts in his mouth. And those are the decisions that people hate because they remind us, to bring this full circle, of the ones we haven't made.
I thought you never see them. Wait a minute, I thought you never see those decisions. Why do people hate them? They're not thinking about them.
You see him in the success.
You hear it written about it.
You see him with the 7th trip to the Super Bowl.
It comes in when somebody calls him a system quarterback, Max. That's how you see it.
Well, I'll tell you, there is a group of people that doesn't care what you think of Tom Brady, and that is Patriots fans.
The bet was if the Bucs and Tom Brady made the Super Bowl, then Rob had to buy Chris 2 pairs of Jordans. If they didn't, Chris had to buy Rob 1 pair. We all know Tom Brady is back in the Super Bowl, and Rob fulfilled the bet by buying 2 pairs of Jordans. Only problem is Chris did not pick the Jordans, and now Chris is protesting, thinking they did not meet the $200 per pair requirement that he was under the impression of.
Rob G, what was the bet? What was max value of 200, correct?
But who is that for?
All right. Okay.
That's for the person that wins. Because why in the world would the person, we wouldn't even have to put that in there for the person that loses. Because hold on, let me finish. If I can get you a pair of Jordans for $90 or $200, which ones am I getting if I lose? You don't have to tell me, oh, limit it to 200. That's for the guy that wins, so you don't get crazy and go ahead and say you got to buy me a $300 or $400 pair.
No.
When you won the Jordan bet, you picked your Jordans. I didn't protest. You picked your Jordans. Said, I told send me the money. That's what happened.
That wasn't the bet.
Well, then why
it was two pair of Jordans.
Tell me why do we say up to $200?
Because if I said to you, say I won the bet. And and you had to buy me a pair of Jordans. I said, get me off-white instead of $500.
What you wanted.
Off-white? $500?
Anything up to $200.
No, that's not
You just
Chris.
said what I said. You said you were the winner. You would have got the pair you wanted.
No, that's not what I said. That's to stop somebody from going crazy. And here's the other part.
When you win.
You're
agreeing with me.
No, I'm not. Here's the other thing.
You said just what I started out saying.
Rob G and Alex, I bought 4 people those same Jordans. Chris is the only one who's offended or thinks like,
I'm not offended.
No, yes, you are. And it sounds petty to me. It's petty. Don't take them back to the store.
You should have let me pick.
That wasn't a part of the bet. That wasn't a part of the bet. Rob G, did we ever say you get to pick out the Jordans or not? I'm asking you.
In the specifics of the bet, no.
No, it says 2 pair of Jordans.
That's what the bet was. Then? Why we say 200 then?
That's what the bet is. That's what the bet is.
Look, it's cool. It's cool. We just won't bet no more.
We're not going to bet anymore because you're petty.
Anything.
You're the most petty guy. Yes, you're petty.
You're petty.
And no, you're petty. And the other part is
you're the petty king.
No,
you're not the
petty
king anymore. You're the petty king.
And
so you knew when you bought me those Jordans that's not what I want.
Can I try to settle this here for you guys?
Go ahead. You can settle it. That's it for this video. I post a new Tom Brady video every day. So please like and subscribe. That way you'll always have a new Tom Brady video to watch every single day. Thanks for watching.